Alright, so today we're working on our Indian. What seems to be a problem with these Indians is the kickstand. It ends up cracking in this area because too much stress on the kickstand, too much slop in the kickstand will cause it to break. So Indian's repair for this is a new piece of frame, which goes right from up here by the wind deflector all the way down and underneath, all the way down into here. I'll turn the light on. Well, anyway, this whole piece of frame has to be replaced with the kickstand as well, because as you can see in this area, the kickstand flexes and causes the bolt to snap, and it spreads the two ears apart, and it cracks the kickstand itself. So we're going to replace that whole piece of frame with this new piece of frame. The new bolt and nut and a new revised kickstand. So the new revised kickstand fits the frame better. So when it's engaged, it's up against metal, solid. And this is one of Indians' cures for their problems. This is going to involve removing the highway bar up there, the highway bar down here, the frame, bolts, floorboard, several things. First things first will be the floorboard. We'll get it off, which is a bolt behind the shifter here and this bolt up here. That'll take the floorboard loose, and then we'll take the bolt out of the highway bar, and then we'll come up to the top and take the bolts out of the highway bar up top. That'll get her loosened up so it can move out of the way. So I've removed the two bolts for the floorboard, and as you can see, the whole shifter comes down with it. So you'll notice you'll have to take the shift linkage loose. That's a 10mm bolt head. We'll just take that linkage off of the transmission. We'll leave it attached to the floorboard. Okay, so the shifter linkage has been removed. That went right here. I put the bolt back in it so I wouldn't lose it. Now we're going to move on and start removing the highway bar. Okay, as you can see, the highway bar had two bolts, one here and one there. After you get those removed, along with the one that went in down here, the whole highway bar comes off. Now we have space to work. Now we've got to remove this bolt, this bolt, this bolt, this bolt, whoops, that bolt, and this bolt. And then I do believe the whole frame part will come out. The one behind the kickstand and the one ahead of the kickstand, into the frame, into the frame, into the frame. So it also looks like you'll have to remove this cable clamp That appears to be like a 10 millimeter. And you'll also need to remove the kickstand switch. The switch the kickstand comes up against, you'll have to take that off and set it aside, let it hang, whatever. Alright, we'll keep going. The kickstand bolts are a 5/32 Allen head. And with that now removed, we've removed the kickstand switch. Now we can get this last bolt out for the frame. I still have one bolt in up here to hold the frame, but I'm also using a belly jack under the engine, not getting over onto the frame, just under the engine. But I also have it on the lift and tied to the lift with the wheel chock. So anyway, I'm gonna get this last couple bolts out, and we'll get back to it. Now this bolt, right in front of the casting of the end of the transmission, that one has a nut on the back side. You got to get on that. Okay, well, I'm going to get the right wrench. Okay, it's a 11/16 or 17 millimeter, I guess. And then the actual size of the Allen head on these bolts is 5/16. So anyway, I'll keep going. Okay, all right, we got that one out, but we also noticed that the oil cooler has a bolt holding into the frame above and below. So we'll have to take those two off. I believe they're a 10 millimeter. We'll see. Yes, they are. So I'm going to take those two oil cooler lines loose, take them out, and that way that'll be free of the frame. I still have this upper bolt in right here, so it's still holding the frame in. So I noticed if you take the top bolt out of the oil cooler and you just loosen the bottom two, you can rotate the cooler out of the way and get it loose from the frame. That's a good little tip. I think it'll be helpful to a lot of people. Now I'm going to get this cable. I do believe that's the clutch cable, yes. I'm going to take that bracket, that little bolt off inside of there. That'll free up all the frame. So I found out that that little bolt that holds that cable on is a 3/16 Allen head. Alright, getting that bolt out. Just a little bolt. Try to focus for you. There you go. Little bolt holds that cable in place on that little bracket right there. That actually bolts into the frame. Now I just got to remove this bolt right here, and I do believe the entire kickstand and frame will come out. Okay, she's loose. Let's see how this goes. The cooler decided to hang up and catch on there, so I got to pull that up and out of the way. Alright, now I do believe she's free. Okay. There's the old frame. Here's the new frame. Not much difference. I'll transfer over that little bushing for the cooler into there. Transfer that bolt over to there, and I'll just put it right back up in there. After I get her in, I'll get back on the video. Now, as you're putting it back together, you'll see that the clutch cable, clutch cable goes down, behind, and then up and over. So make sure it goes up over that bolt hole and down behind that, or under that one. Make sure it doesn't get pinched by either one of these. So I had a little trouble making sure that the top part of the frame is popped into place. The reason I had the trouble is because I snugged up this frame bolt down below first. So I loosened it back up, came back up here, and gave this a thump with my hand. And it popped right into place. And how I checked was, you can see yeah, you can't see it. You can see that the frame had a gap, a big gap between the main frame under the tank. There was a large gap right there. Now it's close together. So just by hitting that into place, I know she's in place now. I can give her some onion. Alright, we'll just keep going, putting bolts back in. We'll get this done. This bolt here is a longer bolt. That goes in behind the kickstand. This one here is the short one. Got another one goes here. Oh, that's the one that had the nut on it. That's this ugly son-bee. We're going to put that in next. That goes in there. Be back short. Sorry, I was videoing straight up and down. I should have kept going like I was doing here. So I'm going to put this bolt back in here. And as you can see, it sticks out in the back. You can't even see. Here. There's the bolt head. There's the end of the threads right there. Put the nut back on it. Alright. Alright, the really long bolt goes in the top here. The next one down is not so long, it's about an inch or two. This cable now has to come back up here and get bolted back down. That goes right into this little bolt hole here. Oil cooler has to get put back on. Kickstand switch needs to get bolted back up. And the new kickstand needs to get put on with the spring. And then we just put the floorboard back on. And that's pretty much it. It's pretty much an easy job. So, if you have any questions, I had a lot of questions. Polaris had no answers except for replacing this frame with this new kickstand. Because kickstands keep breaking on these things. Alright, that's it. Done dirt cheap. Onega, Kansas.